Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Glazer, and we're looking at U.S. history during the Gilded Age. So right here, this actually is from Europe, but the principle still stands here. We see that it says 8 hours of labor, labor meaning work, 8 hours of recreation, doing things that are fun, 8 hours of rest. So if you add all these hours up, it's 24 hours. It's a day. So laborers, workers, began to think that maybe they shouldn't be doing labor all day, doing work all day. Maybe they should have more of a work-life split where only 8 hours a day they go to work, 8 hours a day is for themselves, for their families, whatever, and then they have 8 hours of rest meaning sleep. And Americans are going to really take hold of this during the Gilded Age. Again, we're in the late 1800s, 1870s, 80s, 90s. So what workers are going to do is they're going to join something called labor unions. Again, labor means work. Union is when people come together. So workers are coming together to fight for conditions, pay, hours, that type of thing with labor unions. So labor union is just an organization of workers, a group of workers that are coming together, joining together, like we just said. They want better hours, not meaning more hours, but less hours. They want to work less, that 8 hours a day, like we said. Better conditions. They want to make sure they have breaks. They want adequate safety. They want to be treated with respect at work. And of course, they want better pay. So during the Gilded Age, during the late 1800s, there are two labor unions that are going to come out. One called the Knights of Labor, and another called the American Federation of Labor, or AFL for short. And here's some of the things that they fought for and were successful with that we still have today. So they came together, they protested, they fought to try to get a 40-hour work week or an 8-hour work day, which is something we still have today. We work typically, not everyone, works 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. That gets you 40 hours a week, and then you have a weekend. They fought for a minimum wage. Today, for the country, that's $7.25, but that's going up all around the country. They fought for safer working conditions, better working conditions, laws against child labor. Child labor is going to be very prevalent during this time, the Gilded Age, late 1800s. And it was dangerous for kids, hurt them, stunted their growth, damaged their hearing. Some of them died. So today, it's illegal to have child labor. The Labor Day holiday in September, that is a day honoring workers. Labor unions have that helped create that national holiday to celebrate our workers and to give most people the day off. And the weekend. The weekend used to not be a thing. We could thank labor unions, workers saying, maybe we shouldn't work every day or 6 days a week. We should have an end to the week where we can relax and spend with our families. So let's look at the two labor unions that we care about, the Knights of Labor and the American Federation of Labor. We're just going to compare the two. So, the Knights of Labor. This one came out first. Here's this little logo. So, like we had said, they're fighting for these basic things for workers. Better hours, conditions, pay, and the Knights of Labor are actually going to go for equal pay for women, which is something still in 2020 we don't have. Not for everyone, at least. So, they're going to be led by this guy named Terence Powderly. And Powderly is going to look at labor unions around the world and see that they're always usually made up of just skilled labor. And he thought that was unfair. He said, you know what, we should give, and when I mean skilled labor, I mean people who have specialized skills, formal training, people that can do high skilled jobs without much training or direction. So labor unions around the world were typically left just to these skilled workers, this skilled labor, and he didn't think that was fair. He was like, maybe we should have unskilled people have representation as well, have unions like mine, Knights of Labor, that is going to help protect these workers as well. And it was a great idea, except it didn't actually work that well. the skilled workers and unskilled workers didn't really get along. They disagreed on what they should fight for. Should they fight primarily for better pay or better working conditions, better hours, and then how they should organize or how they should protest, how they should rally. Should they be violent? Should they be non-violent? Should they do strikes? Should they protest? Whatever it might be. There was lots of disagreement, which made the Knights of Labor labor union very not functional. And then things got even worse when we got to a riot, which we kind of call the Haymarket Square riot or the Haymarket Square bombing in Chicago. So a bunch of anti-government anarchists, people that don't believe in the government, were rioting in Chicago, and this protest got very violent, and a bomb was thrown, and 11 people died. Now, no evidence ever showed who did it, but the consensus was amongst the American people, without evidence, that it was the Knights of Labor, and they were blamed for it fairly or unfairly. And because of this, their membership steadily declined very quickly, rapidly declined rather, which ultimately led to the Knights of Labor falling apart, and they just disbanded completely. They don't exist anymore today. So few reasons they didn't work out. There was conflict and disorganization because of the skilled and unskilled workers, and that Haymarket riot, that Haymarket bombing was the final nail in the coffin, which caused this labor union to fall apart and everyone just disassociate themselves from it. Now, the other labor union is called the American Federation of Labor, or the AFL for short. And like the Knights of Labor, they're going to pretty much fight for the same things. Better hours, better conditions, wages, pay, all that good stuff. Their leader is going to be a guy named Samuel Gompers. And Gompers is going to see the mistakes that Terence Powderly made putting the skilled and unskilled workers together, and he's going to try to rectify that. He is going to say, you know what, there's a reason that labor unions around the world have left themselves to skilled workers. Let's do the same thing so we could all be on the same page and we can agree how to cooperate, how to organize to protest, to strike, on how to fight for our rights, and it works out. And they're going to be successful in getting a lot of things done for the American people. Like you see here, they're going to get the 8-hour workday. Workers are going to receive better wages, better hours, better conditions, all that good stuff. And even they're going to help get the Labor Day holiday, which is in September, that day off that we all have as students and most of us have as employees. And the AFL still exists today, so it's a very successful labor union. So Gompers did well with that. So that's about it for today, a quick one. Again, this has been Mr. Glazer. Have a great day.